Hi everyone, this is Jessica Wergo with the Community Foundation, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit about GiveBigNRV in preparation for our annual Giving Day coming up on April 18th. We'll walk through the home page for Give Big. We'll talk about logging in to your account. We'll go through how to update your profile page or to create a profile if you're new to Give Big. We'll talk about updating that donation box and making sure that the receipts that your donors receive have all the information they need. And then we'll spend a little bit of time on what's called the Connect platform for Click and Pledge. And this is the kind of behind the scenes part of your Click and Pledge account. So I'll walk you through how to add a user if you want to add additional staff or board members, look at your transaction history, and then finally we'll talk through a little bit about technical support available on the day of the Giving Day. So what you're seeing right now is the homepage for GiveBigNRV, and we are rapidly approaching our 5th annual Giving Day on April the 18th. So about a week before the Giving Day starts, we are going to reset the page as a whole. So you'll see there's a counter here in the top right counting down to that April 18th date. And then we've got right now the total reflecting how much we've raised through the website since we started it back in 2014. This number, as well as the amount raised on your individual pages, will all be zeroed out before the April 18th so that we're ready to get the Giving Day started. So when you come to the Give Big page, the home page is where you'll want to look for some tools for nonprofits as well as the leaderboards. So let's start in this top area here. What you'll be looking for in particular are participating organizations. These are all of the organizations that are part of GiveBigNRV and have profiles. If you have just registered this year, you're probably already on here, but if not, you're still in the registration process, and we will add you to this as soon as you complete that process. These are just links to each one of the organizations that's participating in the Giving Day. And the idea is to make it as easy as possible for a donor to find you. So for example, a donor could come to this page and want to be able to find the Friends of the Farmers Market, for example. They can click on it and go straight to the Friends of the Farmers Market profile page. So don't worry if you're not on the page participating organizations list yet. We are updating that regularly and we'll make sure everybody is on there. If you have a profile page that's not complete, then we are not going to have you on that organizations list until you actually complete a profile. So make sure you've got that profile looking good so that you can be on that list. The next thing to look for is this nonprofit toolkit. This is your stop for information on the Giving Day and what you can use to prepare for it. So you'll see we've got a link here to register your nonprofit. If you've registered for Give Big any year before this, you are still part of the site. There's no need to register again. If you haven't been part of Give Big before, you can still register. Just click on that link and walk through the steps. You'll get information from Click and Pledge as well as TSYS, which is the company that actually handles all of the bank transactions. Make sure that you're on the lookout for that information and that you particularly check your junk folder in case anything for the contract to set up your Give Big account is going to that junk email. There's a link here for you to be able to find logos and graphics related to Give Big. These are things like Facebook cover and profile images, Twitter images, and other things that you can use to promote Give Big, both online and in print. We've got a great Giving Day video that you can share, information about the grants and prizes, and then a couple other things that you can walk through at your leisure talking about technical support, which we'll go over later, as well as information for those who might be having an event and will have lots of people giving in the same place. This is all great information for you to look through. In particular, I'll point out this link here. This is some information from a workshop that we did back in February with some great tips on how to use social media for the Giving Day. So go ahead and take a look at that. So there's all sorts of good information on the toolkit, and as we have new information for you to use, it will go on here, but this is where you should come first. And then if you have questions, you can contact the Community Foundation. So let's go back to the home page, which you get to by clicking on the Give Big logo. And below this image bar here, you'll see our leaderboards. Now, this is still reflective of the history of Give Big NRV. This is not one particular giving day. And these will actually be changed around a little bit for the giving day. But it's important to see here that these are the leaderboards, and I'll show you when you're developing your profile how to make sure you're getting on the right leaderboard. For the giving day coming up on the 18th, we'll have this unique donors giving board here. That will still be there on the 18th. And then we'll have these two new giving boards, most money raised for large organizations. Those are agencies with a budget of $100,000 or more. And then small organizations, most money raised, those with less than $100,000. The most money raised overall in the Fund for the NRV leaderboards will be taken down for the giving day. They're just here now. But this is where you will come, or you can send your board members or other supporters to take a look at how you're doing in relation to other organizations in terms of being able to be eligible for a grant. And then as you continue going down, you'll see recent donations made to organizations. People can leave a comment to you about your organization, and all of this shows up here. And then, of course, some great info from our sponsors who are making a lot of this work possible. So take a look at those for sure. And if you see folks from those agencies, say thank you for supporting our work. So that's a little walkthrough of the home page. Now let's get down to how you actually log into your account. For those who've been a part of Give Big before, this has changed since last year. So make sure that you're walking through this carefully so that you know how it's changed from Click and Pledge's platform. So in order to log in, you're going to go to this upper right corner and these three little horizontal lines right here. As you hover over it, it'll say login, and click on that. You are an organization when you're updating your organization's profile page. We'll talk about fundraisers later. So click on Organization Sign In. Now, it used to be that you could sign in right through the Give Big page, but Click and Pledge wants to send everybody to what's called the Connect platform. This is the behind the scenes, as I talked about before. So what you'll do is click Sign In, and you will be brought to this page for you to sign in. The nice thing about this new system is that you don't need to remember a password. All you'll need to know is the email address that you use to register your organization on the Give Big website. We do have that at the foundation, so if you need a reminder, let us know. For those of you who might have started this a while ago, back in 2014 and don't remember. But you'll use that email address, type that in, and then you want to make sure to click I am not a robot and click Get the Code. So this is where Click and Pledge is going to be sending you a numerical code that you're going to enter in here once you get it via email. So let me just go toggle over to my email account quick, open up my email, and there's that code right there, 42813. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and then click Login. So for most organizations, this is going to take you directly to your Connect platform. For organizations like the Community Foundation that have multiple profiles on the Give Big page, for us, it's all of the different endowed funds we have. For a handful of organizations that are on the site, you may have asked us to have multiple pages for different programs, and those will have different account numbers. But most of you will not see this screen. But let me go ahead and open this up. And this is the dashboard for your Connect platform. We'll spend a little bit of time here later, but in order to log into your Give Big page, once you've gotten here, go to these four squares in the upper right corner that say Launcher and click, and then down at the bottom, hit CFNRV Give Big. Now you're back on your profile page. You'll know that you are successfully logged in because you'll start to see these little boxes that will say edit profile or setting. And now you've been logged in and you can start to make changes to your profile page. So now I'm going to move on and just give you the basics on how you can make adjustments or updates to your profile page. A couple things to keep in mind here. Most people are coming directly to your profile. They're not tending to browse around the website. Instead, they might be responding to an email or a newsletter that you're sending out. And so they might already be familiar with you, or they're just coming here because they want to get some basic information. So that's a nice way of saying this isn't a dissertation. Keep it short, simple, and interesting on your page. And be prepared to put a few things on here that we'll talk about, and then link people to your full organization webpage if you want to provide a lot of information. This is supposed to be a quick stop for them, and really you want them to just be donating to you rather than necessarily reading at length about everything you do. So with that in mind, once you've logged into your page, you'll now hit Edit Profile. And I'm going to walk through all the different tabs that you'll see here. First and foremost, you're on this tab to the far left, Profile. This is where you're going to be spending most of your time. I do want to point out one thing, and you'll see this in red right here, that as you're updating your profile and saving your information, it will sometimes take 10 to 15 minutes for that new information to actually load live on the page. So let's say you're going in and making adjustments and you want to see right away those changes being made. If you don't see them right away, don't worry. Give it a little while and then go and check your page and make sure those updates have been made. Okay. So first is this section called Organization Display Name. For most of you, this will be your organization, Community Foundation, for example. In this case, this is a specific initiative of the foundation, so we have it named after that. If you're an organization that has a doing business as name, so let's say that your 501c3 is under a corporate name, but you have a doing business as name, this is where you would put whatever the name is that you want donors to associate with you. So your doing business as name would go here. So include that in there. Next, you'll come down to target. This is your fundraising goal. So many of you set a fundraising goal last year, and you'll see that on your profile, this will put a little tracking bar essentially for how you're doing the day of towards that goal. For many of you, if you reached your goal last year or you're still working towards it, it's still going to be showing on your page now. When the Community Foundation resets the site to 0 before April 18th, that will zero out any contributions that have come through the page that are showing up on the page, and so you'll be able to be at 0 for your fundraising goal. So basically what you want to be putting in here is your fundraising goal for the giving day. Maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $10, but you can put anything in there you want. If you don't want to have a particular fundraising goal, just leave it at 0, and then no tracking bar will show up. Okay, so the next section is summary. And this is what will show up. You can already see it here on the right-hand side of the page. Also, if folks are searching for organizations, which I'll show you a little bit later, or if they're browsing, as results come up from those searches, they'll be able to see your logo and this short summary. So this is a great place to maybe quickly put your mission or the basics about what you do. You can type directly into the box, as I'm doing here. Or you can also cut and paste information out of Word. So you'll see up here, they're not lit in this section. They will be down here. But to cut and paste information in, just be real careful when you're cutting and pasting. Sometimes you are taking the formatting, say from Word or from your website, and it's moving over into Click and Pledge, and it can kind of screw up the way that the font and things look. So keep an eye on that and make sure that you're checking to make sure things are looking nice. So again, just write some basic information in here. And then you'll spend the bulk of your time working on this large section called description. This is the main information that your donors see when they come to your page. And there's a lot of flexibility here on what you can put in. So again, try not to be too crazy with what you're putting in here, but do make sure that you've got a picture or something interesting that people can be drawn to. There is the ability to embed video in here, and there's some instructional videos on the Click and Pledge website for how to do that. I'll show you a little bit of that later as well. But within this box, you can, of course, just type directly into the box like I did before. Again, you can cut and paste information. Once you have copied some text, you'll be able to put plain text or to paste from Word if you're grabbing text from a Word document. Make sure to use the right one here. So if you're pasting from Word, use that one because that will address any formatting, that formatting code that is in the Word document that might make things look strange here on the Click and Pledge site. So here, provide some basic information. You can grab text and make it bold, for example. You can change the color of that text here. So use automatic colors that you may have set or more colors that are available. For those of you that have standard colors for your organization, you may know these little hex codes, as they're called, that are the specific hue that you use. So go ahead and you can put that in here and make sure everything matches nicely. So click OK. You can also create links through your text. So just highlight the text that you want to create a link. Hit this little button here, that's the globe with the link. And then you can either copy and paste or type out the URL. So this is a great way to lead people to your organization without having to put all this information about your organization on your profile page. Hit OK, and now that's become a live link. And if you want to unlink it, then just go to this little thing here that says unlink, and now you're back where you started. Okay, so that's how you use some text. You'll see that we've had places here where the text is a different size, and that you can get by using this area here that allows you to have different format headings or to just have normal text. We recommend using Arial 14 as your font and font size. That just makes it easier to see on the page. And you can see all these places that are in blue. Those are all links for us. Now you can also put images, and we highly recommend that you put images into your profile page. So to do that, put your cursor near where you want your image to be, and then click on this little icon here that says image. Now, you're going to be able to upload an image, go to the Upload tab, from your computer. So just hit Browse. And I'm just going to kind of randomly grab something we have here for the foundation, our logo. So there's my file. It's best to use JPEG. I believe you can use PNG files as well, but I'd suggest using JPEG files to be able to upload them easily. And then hit Send it to the server. Once you do that, you'll be getting this image properties box. And this preview shows you how large your image is going to be when it shows up on your profile. So you can see here the foundation's logo is way too big to fit on this profile page. So if I want to change the size, I can come over here to width and height. This is based on pixels. So let's say I want to make it smaller. I can just mess with the pixels in here and try to see what size would be appropriate. You'll see this little lock here. That means that it's going to lock the proportions of your image so that it doesn't get stretched out strangely one way or the other. I'd recommend keeping that locked. If you'd like to put a border around your image, this is also based on pixels, so click in the box and then put a few pixels. Here I've got 3, and you can see sort of the weight of that border. H space and V space refer to the amount of white space between your image and the text underneath it. So if you want to be able to sort of offset your image a little bit, you may, again, put a number in here reflective of the pixel distance. And again, you can play with it and preview it in here. And then finally, you can align it left or right, and the text that you have will wrap around your image. So once you've put all that in, you just hit OK. And there's my image. Now I've got a lot of other things going on here, so I'm not going to keep that there. But if I removed some of this stuff, the foundation logo would move all the way to the right. But you can see that the image is embedded here. Let's say, oh, gosh, I just don't like the way that looks. I can click on it and hit delete, or I can double click it and it'll bring me back up to this image properties box, and I can again fiddle with the size. Oh, now you can see what it looks like when the lock ratio is not locked, it's unlocked. Kind of skews our image. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Just hit delete, and there we go. A couple things to keep in mind. If you're an organization that works with children, you need to make sure that you have a release form in order to put images of children online. The foundation assumes that you have that release from the child's parent, but we can ask for it at any time. So make sure that you have the release form if you are showing children, particularly the faces of minors, in any images that you use. It's always a good idea to put some photo credits, maybe down towards the bottom, or if you have an image like we do here, maybe putting a little bit of a caption. Those are just helpful ways for people to understand what they're looking at. And then you can also use stock images. So for those who might want to put images of children but not want those children to be identifiable, or you don't have a release form, you can go online and find some free stock photography that you can use in these areas. One final thing for those who want to get a little bit fancier on their profile pages, you can put video and actually embed video into your profile. Again, there's some information on the Click and Pledge site about how to do this. But quickly, what you'll do is you'll make sure that your video is uploaded to a site like YouTube or Vimeo. And you'll have the opportunity through either one of those sites to get what's called an embed code. Oftentimes it'll say, do you want to share your video on Facebook, on Twitter? Do you want to embed it into a website? That will give you some HTML code, the embed code, that you use to embed the video into a particular website. In this case, you go to your video on YouTube, you copy and paste that embed code that you got, and then you're going to go up here to source. This is all the code, the HTML that's behind the scenes of your page. And for many of us, we don't really know what the heck this is, and we're probably not going to use it a whole lot. But for those of you who do want to either fiddle with the code or to embed video, if you hit source, you can start to look and see, here's where I have that header information. So you can decide where you want to put your video on the page based on the code layout. You just put your cursor there and you paste that embed code into the source code here, and that will make it so that that video embeds into your page. If you have any issues, you can let us know, or again, look on Click and Pledge's website for a tutorial. Okay. The final thing on this profile tab is avatar. This is your organization logo. This is what shows up at the top of your page. Let me close this quick so you can see. So here's this little avatar right here, as we call it. It shows up at the top of your page. And then again, when somebody is searching or browsing through organizations, they'll see that little summary we talked about before, plus your avatar. So you're at the bottom, you've done all your work here. You want to make sure that you upload your logo. This is one of the components that we require in order to be eligible for some of our incentive grants the day of. So you have to have a logo with your profile. You have to have entered some sort of information in this description box. And then you have to have updated the donation box, which I'll show you in just a moment. So make sure that you have something here. And it will tell you right here, these are pretty tiny images. So make sure that you have shrunk down your logo in some way. They're different things like, Paint within Microsoft that you can use, or you can get fancier with a Photoshop or something to be able to just shrink the size of your logo. So you hit browse just like you did with images. You can grab any image that you want, and then it will add that file there. So I'm going to actually remove that so I don't mess up our page here. And then hit save. So you can see here that because I grabbed a file that was too large, it's giving me an error message. I'm going to leave that alone because I don't need to make a change. But again, if you get that, you're going to want to make sure that you shrink your logo smaller so that it will fit within the size needed. At the bottom of every single one of these tabs, make sure you're hitting save. It will show you whether or not your data has been saved successfully. You don't want to do all this work in your description and then end up not saving and have it all go away. So make sure you save and save often. So that is the main section of the profile that you're going to go into. For folks new to Give Big, this is where you're going to start with your information about your organization. For those of you that have done this before, make sure you go into your profile and update information. If you referred last year to particular projects or things you're working on that could be out of date, make sure that you update that so that your page is up to date when it comes to the giving day, because there's nothing like going to a page that's out of date. That's going to be a deterrent for your donors. So you've spent that time updating the profile, and then there are several other things that you can do within the profile section. Network URL refers to your Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you have any of these, you can put those URLs directly here, and that will link your profile page to your various social media or video pages. Again, hit save at the bottom of everything. The next tab is the share message. So let's say you're on Facebook and somebody wants to be able to share your organization. They can put their own share message on Facebook, for example, or you can provide some text that will automatically go into their message unless they choose to change it. So here you can see that I have a basic one that's saying support nutrition and health in the NRV with Thrive and provides a little information. Again, all of this is just typed directly into the box. And then there's also the opportunity to set an after donation share message. So somebody has just supported the great work that you do. They want to be able to share that via Facebook, and they'll be prompted when their donation goes through if they want to be able to share it. And when they do so, this message that you set can be put in there. So it's a good idea to have these. It's just a way to use some standard language to talk about what you do. Again, hit save. Okay, the next tab is an important one. Donate Now will affect the amounts and information that are in your donation box over here on the right. So, first off, you may want to consider making a change to the headings. There are just some standard language that's put in there, donate now or something like that, that's put onto your page. But consider modifying that to make it unique to your organization. This is the little tagline that's associated with some of our initiatives. So I put it in there. And then there's a little description that you can put underneath it. You can add that in here. I believe that the default language is something like choose an amount or give what you want, which I always thought seemed, a little direct and informal. So maybe say something like give whatever you'd like or make it specific to your organization. These next sections are where you can set the amounts that are available within these radial buttons here. So the minimum donation for the page on the giving day is $10. So certainly you can't go underneath that. Here then you just decide what you think your donors are going to be interested in doing. They always have the option of putting a custom amount in there. But you have up to 4 amounts that you can select. So you can type your amount in here, and then You can put some text here. So let's say you're an organization that does a weekend backpack program for students, and $50 is going to allow you to get food for 6 of those backpacks, let's say. So you might want to put that in there and say $50 provides backpacks for the weekend for 6 students. It's just a way to make it more tangible what this money is actually used for. You don't have to do that, it's just a suggestion. What you do have to do is make sure that you've updated this section. So the default language here, before you've changed anything in your page, Click and Pledge puts in this text box something like donate or donate for. So take that out. If you don't want anything to show up next to your amounts like we have here, just delete that, that text entirely, or modify it to make it unique to your organization. But please make sure you update it, because having that default language just looks kind of funky when you're sending somebody to your site. You'll see reference throughout the page to things like SKU and campaign, and that's related to Salesforce. So if your organization uses Salesforce, great. You can actually link your GiveBig page to your Salesforce account. For those who don't use Salesforce, just go ahead and ignore those references. You don't have to worry about them. After you've set all those areas, you'll see that there's always an other amount that allows your donor to customize the amount. And then you'll see that there are recurring options. This is great for those who use their GiveBig pages throughout the year. It allows a donor to set a recurring donation so that their credit card is automatically charged over a certain interval of time. So the foundation, as the parent organization, has taken a few of these out and tried to just make this a more concise group of options. But we have one-time, weekly, monthly, quarterly, 6 months, or annually. So again, this will automatically charge your donor's card at whatever interval they select. So this is a great option just to have some ongoing contributions. And then again, campaign and tracker are related to Salesforce. So you've updated that information and you've clicked save. Okay, we're almost to the end of this section, trust me. So now we're going to go to keywords and tags. So this is an area where you're going to be able to help people find your organization. In the keywords section, you can put as many keywords as you want to related to your organization. So let's say you're located in Floyd, you can put Floyd, you can put 24091, you can put check, you can put all sorts of things related to Floyd County. You can put things related to the particular issue that your organization addresses. As much in here as possible will allow people to help find you. Now you'll see in this section that there's a little code right here, and this is extremely important. So this code tells the GiveBig website which leaderboard your organization should be put on. If this little code, if these codes are not in your keyword section, then your organization is not going to show up on the leaderboards on the home page, regardless of how well you're doing the day of. So I'm going to just show you what the codes are for nonprofits participating. So these are related to some of the incentive grants we're offering. So if you want to be on the leaderboard for the most unique donors, which all of you do, you're going to put GTLN. And you'll just put that, say here, at the end of your keyword section. That's going to tell the system to put you on that leaderboard. You also want to decide whether you're a large or small organization so that you can put the appropriate code, to be able to show up on those leaderboards. So if you are a small organization, meaning that your budget is less than $100,000 a year, then you're going to put MMRS, most money raised small. If you're a large organization, $100,000 or more, you're going to put MMRL, and that will tell the system to put you on that leaderboard. So one more time, to make sure that you're showing up on the leaderboard for most unique donors, GTLN is what you want to put in. And then if you're a small organization, put MMRS. If you're a large organization, put MMRL. Those should be separated by a semicolon, along with anything else that you want to have in there. I'm going to delete that because that's not relevant to this page the foundation has. But make sure that you're putting those in there, and we'll have information on our site to remind you about those keyword codes as well. Okay, then once you finish the keywords, the next thing you want to do is set your tags. These are the categories that you'll be in on the site. So for people who do choose to just browse broad categories of organizations, you will show up in the appropriate categories. You can choose 3 categories, and your options will be in this box on the left-hand side. You just click on one you want it to be added to, and then hit this right arrow to move you over. Now, I think it didn't do that because it only allows for 3. Let's test that out. Okay. So if you want to be added to a section, here's health and wellness I want to add. I've clicked on it. I move it to the right, and there it goes. And you saw what I did before. If you want to pull yourself out of a particular category, highlight it, and then move it to the left. And again, hit save. Okay, the last 2 sections here are related to the opportunity to have fundraisers. You'll see on your page that there's something called Become a Fundraiser. These are people that want to be able to advocate for your organization and to encourage people to give. And they have the opportunity to create their own sort of mini profile page on GiveBig that can talk specifically about why they love your organization. So for maybe you want your board members or staff to all become fundraisers, they can click on this Become a Fundraiser, enter their email information, and then be walked through how to create this mini profile of theirs. You get to control some of that via this section here called Fundraiser Setting. So fundraisers really are a great way to spread out the PR that's going on, the marketing that's going on for your organization. So we do recommend that you accept fundraisers. So be sure that this is checked for your organization. You don't have to do it, of course, it's up to you, but it's useful if you choose to put the time in to kind of promote people wanting to become fundraisers. The next section is automatic approval. So if you were to check that, that means that anyone who comes to your page and says become a fundraiser can put their email in and will automatically be given instructions to set up their mini profile page for your organization. Personally, that makes me a little bit nervous because I like to know who is fundraising on behalf of the foundation. So I have unchecked that box. That means that anyone who comes to a foundation page and says become a fundraiser will be put then into a section I'll show you in a minute where I have to approve them as a fundraiser. I highly recommend doing that just to make sure you know who is fundraising on your behalf. And then this fundraiser page setting, fundraiser page heading, just allows you to put information like I am a fundraiser for or I support that could be default language included on a fundraiser's homepage. Okay, hit save. Finally, there's this fundraisers list. So when you have fundraisers, they will be listed on this page. This particular profile does not have any fundraisers, but it's going to be listed on this page, and you'll see the ability to sort them. You'll be able, when you're looking at this section, to be able to approve or disapprove certain fundraisers, or ones that you may have had in the past, say interns that were a fundraiser for you last year. You'll have the ability to update their status. It's all pretty straightforward in here. So take a look at that. As I said, it's a good tool to use. And for those who want some more information about that, you can call the foundation or again, look at the Click and Pledge website. So those are all the tabs related to your profile. Make sure that you've updated all your information. You've saved at the bottom of each and every one. And then you've waited about 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that that information does get uploaded onto the site. Okay, You can hit close setting at any time, and this takes you back to what your page will look like. Again, it might take 10 to 15 minutes for this information to update from what you have just put into the system. But just wait and check that and make sure it's looking good and how you want it. So one more thing to do on this page is to make some other modifications to what's called the checkout page, what a donor sees once they hit this great donate button and are ready to give to you. So when you are logged in and you're seeing these little gray boxes that say edit profile, you're going to come over and hit donate. And you'll see that this is the checkout page. So this is what your donor sees and where they enter their information to make their gift. You have a little box here, so you know you've logged in. You'll hit setting. Some information will be automatically put into your system and others you'll have to enter. The checkout page name and donation for, typically where I've seen them, they are the same, and this is the name of your organization. So make sure that those are entered into this section. It may be that you want to have a checkout page for Habitat for Humanity, but all donations are going to go to a specific program. That's where you might have these be two different things. But go ahead and enter those in. This donation scheduling box is another really important thing to keep an eye on. So we have it, I believe, across the whole system to allow donation scheduling, but go in and make sure that's checked. So what that does is it allows donors to come to your page prior to the giving day on the 18th and to pre-schedule their donation. So they can enter in all their information, say April 15th, and then at the bottom of the donation page, they'll have a chance to set the charge date, the date where their credit card will be charged or the gift will be pulled from their bank account. And they can set that for April 18th. That means that their gift will be counted towards your giving day total and towards all of those grants and prizes that you can get. But they don't have to necessarily remember to go on your site on April 18th. I'll show you that in a minute, what it looks like for a checkout page, but make sure that that's checked. These next several sections, as we talked about, are related to Salesforce, so go ahead and ignore those. And then you can have these kind of standard things here for standard default fraud policies, etc. You don't need to worry about those. What you may want to take a look at, though, is this receipt header section. So this is information that's going to be on the receipt that the donor receives electronically right after they make a contribution. It's a good idea here to maybe put your contact information. We have here some language about gifts being tax deductible, just some good general information you might want to have. You might want to say, thank you so much for supporting XYZ program. All of it can go in that receipt header. Then this final box here is notification list, refers to the people that are on your staff or board members who will be notified via email every time a gift is made to your organization. In the case of the foundation, I get notified every time a gift is made, as does Laura, who processes gifts in our office, enters them into our accounting system. It's nice that we have two people because it just serves as a good financial check on one another, and we'll make sure we're not missing any contributions that come in. So you may want to consider having more than one person in this section. Maybe it's your executive director and the treasurer of the board, somebody that doesn't mind receiving those notifications and tracking what gifts are coming in. And so you'll get those notifications via email, and then hit save. Just like before, there are multiple tabs to take a look at. I'm going to skip Salesforce campaign because that's real specific to those who have Salesforce, and go straight to payment types. This indicates the types of payments that you're willing to receive through your page. You'll see that the first four here, these credit card types, are grayed out. That means that they're standard across the system, so you will automatically have these options here. But you might want to consider some other options. Invoice is an important one for those organizations who have donors that want to be able to have their gift counted toward your giving day total, but want to be able to hand you an actual physical check. They don't want to put their information online in any way, but they still want to participate. You'll need to make sure this invoice payment type then is checked. And what it allows is for a donor to come in, enter all of their information on the donation page, select invoice, and then hand you a check. And that will ensure that that amount of money goes into your total for the day. A couple things to think about here. First off, your donor can come to the page and enter in that information and then hand you a check. Or you might want somebody on your staff to be there and available when the check comes to enter in the information on the giving day so that check counts towards your organization's total. Just like any other donation, though, you'll need to make sure that you have the donor's address, phone number, and email address. So have that in the system so that you can enter it into the donation system on the day of. Have that on hand. The other thing to remember is that we at the foundation are looking at this in relation to the grants that we're giving. And so we want to make sure that these are actual checks that are received on the giving day. So our rule is that if you have a gift of $1,000 or more that is made via this invoice payment type on the giving day, we will need to see a copy of that check by the next day. You can black out with a marker or the account information, but we need to see that this check is actually received on the giving day. What we don't want to happen is for an organization who knows, say, that they get $5,000 in December of every year, enter that in April in order to sort of tip the scales in their favor for a grant. We want to make sure everybody is working fairly here. So keep that in mind, and you can scan and send us a copy of the check. You can take a picture with your phone and email it to us. We just need to be able to see that it was received that day. Then the other option that we tend to recommend is the e-check. So this is where a donor enters in their bank account information and then money is drawn from their bank account for their contribution. And I'd suggest having that as an option as well. I've never personally used the purchase order feature, but that might be something that if you use that, you can have that available here as well. And then just hit update to have those payment types accepted. Custom questions allows you to add additional questions to that checkout page. So you may want to ask a donor, how did you hear about us? Or you may want to say, would you be interested in volunteering? You can add all those questions here. Just type in your question. Under select type, it allows you to have a text box if you want them to be able to write out their answer. Radio buttons or check boxes that allow you to say, give them options, sort of multiple choice. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And then you can put what these answers are if you're doing a multiple choice. So how did you hear about us? You could put via newsletter, social media, television, that kind of thing. If you have multiple questions, you can set the order that those questions display in on the page. Once you've entered that information, you can hit save, and of course you can leave it blank as it is here. So let me go to the last two sections. So fundraiser activity. If you choose to have fundraisers for your organization, this is where you can find out what kind of money is coming in through that fundraisers page. So let's say you wanted to have a friendly competition amongst your board members. Each one of them would create a fundraising page, and then maybe there's some prize for the one that has the most donations come through their page to your organization. So you'd be able to track that here. So you can just set the dates that you want to look at. It might be the particular giving day. It might be an entire month if for some reason you're doing it more broadly. Just check the days and then hit download, and it will become a CSV file which can be opened in Excel, and that will give you the information that you need. Then finally, this report tab essentially is the same thing. So Here is where you can, throughout the giving day or the day after, get a report on all contributions that came in through your Give Big page. You simply go to this report section and set your date range. Here I'm going to set a few days around March, let's say. So I want to be able to see any contributions that came in between the 20th and the 25th of March. Hit download. Again, it'll tell you that you've got a CSV file that you can open with Excel. And here it is. I made a contribution through this page just to test it, and you can see the information that's included here. This is helpful to be able to see whether they want it to be anonymous, for example, the total amount charged for their gift, the transaction date and time, so you can see exactly when it came in. So this can serve as a report for you the day after the giving day to see everyone who is giving. This is updated in real time, so let's say you want to see at 12 noon on April 18th how much money has come in for the first half of that 24-hour period. Go ahead and go into the system and you can do a report on all the contributions that have come in. Let me close that out. Okay, so that is the donations section. Let me close settings to remind you of where we are. So this is again the checkout page that you are modifying for your organization. Once you're ready to log out, you've updated all your information, you can just go to the upper right and click log out. And now I'm back at the home page. So let me show you really quick what I just updated, and you can sort of see a few things. First off, what I just did is went up to this search bar right here. Again, folks can put your organization name or any of those keywords that you may have put into your keyword section. They can include that here and hit search. All those that match the search will come up in this search results section. Remember that summary that you did before? Here's that right here. That medium avatar, which is your logo, that shows up right here. And then your donor can either click on the page itself or just go straight to your donation page. Let's take a look first at the profile page. So here's that profile that I just had. You can see all the information in here, pictures that I had before. If I didn't like it, I'd log back in and make my changes. Then if I'm a donor, I go to this donate button, and this will reflect the changes that you've made to your checkout page. So see down here is all the information on payment types. So if I have a check that I want to give on the giving day, I would click invoice. It takes away everything that has to do with the credit card and just ask for the basic information of your donor. Remember, again, you'll need their email, their address, their phone number. So make sure you have that in order to process their check. Then invoice number is completely up to you. I recommend putting the check number that they give you so it's just easy for you to track, and they would hit submit. Let me go back to credit card just to show you something. So if you have, when you updated your checkout page features, made sure that you clicked that donation scheduling box, then what that does is allow your donor to change the charge date. That means that I could go in today, enter in all my credit card information, and then change the charge date to April 18th. That means my credit card won't be charged until April 18th. And because of that, because that's the giving day, when my credit card is charged, it's going to count towards the total. So when this happens, when somebody goes ahead and pre-schedules a gift, you as the organization will get an email saying that a pre-authorized gift has been made. That doesn't mean the gift has actually been made and the money will show up in your account. It just means it's been pre-scheduled. And then on the date that they set as the charge date, you'll get a receipt that says, yes, that charge went through. Do know that roughly a week before April 18th, the foundation has the ability to set the charge date, set a default date across the system. So we're going to go ahead about a week before the giving day and set the charge date, default charge date, to April 18th. That means that if anyone gets super excited and mistakenly comes to your page 2 days before the giving day, their contribution will still count towards the 18th and the giving day. Okay, so that is a general tutorial of how to update your profile page and the checkout page that is associated with your profile, as well as the tools you have available through the GiveBig homepage. I wanted to show you just a couple final things related to Click and Pledge that may be helpful for you. So before we were on what's called the Connect platform. So this is when you logged in and you were taken to this overall platform before you clicked over here to go to your GiveBig profile. So this is really where you're going to be able to get a lot of additional information or make modifications on who can represent your organization and have access to information about who's giving. So for many of you, you might have multiple staff members who are working on GiveBig. You may have an intern who's going to be updating the profile page for you. You can add all of those people as users to your account. So that means that rather than them using, say, your email address and then you have to give them the verification code, as a user, they'll be able to make modifications. So to do that, once you have logged into your page, you'll go up here to these 4 squares in the corner and click on Settings. Okay, then over here on the left-hand side, we'll say Users. Go ahead and click that, and then hit New User. I'm going to go ahead and add Kim Thurlow in our office. Kim, incidentally, is also the person who is leading up GiveBig for us, so if you have questions, Kim's the one to contact. So I'm adding Kim in here, first name, last name. Profile, we only have one setting, admin. This just allows her to make changes overall to the page. I go down and add Kim's email address. Have to confirm it, so enter it twice. And then I can set a date range if I want to. You always have to set a start date, but you can leave an expiration date open. So if you have an intern who's only going to be with you for a couple months, you can go ahead and set that couple months. That way they can't log into your site later. Kim's on our staff, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that open-ended and then hit Save. Now Kim's been added as a user, and so if Kim goes to the overall Click and Pledge site in order to log in, she can put her email address here and be able to log into the site and see the same information I see, but not have to rely on me to give her any sort of code. Okay, real quick, I'm going to log back in because I want to show you one more thing. So it's a good re-tutorial. When you're logging in, enter your email address, hit I'm not a robot, and get the code. Then you'll be sent a code via email 27699. So I go here, enter that code. Now you'll notice down here that you can indicate that you want to be remembered for 30 days. That means you're not going to have to go through the rigmarole of the code for 30 days. You may want to do that. And you can then set your device name and then hit login. Again, most of you won't see this particular page. I do because the foundation has multiple funds that have GiveBig accounts. Hit that go button and you're back here again to your dashboard. Other things that you may want to do as part of GiveBig. Let's say that you have a donor who calls you and somehow they meant to give $100 and they added an extra 0 and they gave $1,000. Now, ideally, they would just be okay with that. But for some, that's a pretty big shock. You want to make sure that you have canceled that transaction. So once you're at your dashboard, again, you'll come up to your launcher up here, those 4 squares, and this time you hit Transactions and Reports. So this is a place where you can run reports just like you could through your GiveBig profile itself. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to take you to transactions. So this shows all the transactions, in this case, over the past 12 months. And you'll see that I've made kind of a test transaction here to be able to show you. So let's say that I didn't mean to make that contribution. I can go in here. Once you've logged in, go in here. This has further information about the transaction. So a couple interesting things to look at on this page first. You'll see down here under transaction result that it says authorized. There are situations where a contribution might initially go through the system, but then somehow is declined, maybe by the credit card company. You will see that here. So if it's authorized, it means it went through. Now, a couple things you can do here. Let's say that your donor calls you and says, I accidentally deleted my email receipt. No problem. Come into this section, click on their transaction, hit send receipt. That will send a copy of the receipt again to the email that they provided. If you have that donor who meant to give 100 and instead they gave 1,000, no problem. You'll go to issue credit. Now, I don't want to do that because I want to give to this page, but if you did want to do it, issuing credit would basically issue a credit to their credit card, reimbursing them for, in this case, that $15 gift that they gave. So just to make it clear, you can't cancel the transaction as if it never happened. What you can do for the donor is reimburse them the amount. So their credit card statement will show, in this case, my $15 came out, and if I wanted to issue credit, $15 would be credited back to my credit card account. You can put an internal note, so that might be the reason why there's that person who added an extra zero, put it here. And then you can hit send a confirmation email, for example. This is an email that will go to that donor confirming that a credit has been made to their account, and you can see that all right here. You can also go into this and make changes. I'm going to hit cancel, but you could hit issue credit, and that's going to issue the credit to your particular donor. Hopefully you're not going to have to do that, but it's just a good thing to know. Whenever you want to be able to go back to your dashboard, hit here and fundraising, and that takes you back to this original point. Okay, one final thing to talk through. That is if you have issues on the giving day. Let's say that somebody is trying to make a contribution and it's just not going through. They're getting an error message. Most, if not all, of the issues that happen on the giving day are not things that the community foundation can fix for you. These are things that you really need Click and Pledge so that they can look at what is happening. Because we at the foundation don't have access to log into your account. So I couldn't go to your dashboard, for example. So what you want to do is be able to submit a support ticket. So on the giving page, you can go to the nonprofit toolkit. Then you can hit technical support resource links. And this has some different information for you on how you're able to do a few things that are kind of common issues, logging in, being able to process somebody's payment. But come down here to the section that says technical support from Click and Pledge. So you will be able to complete a support ticket for Click and Pledge. And take a look here at what's required. On the giving day, Click and Pledge prioritizes any tickets that say CFNRV Give Big. So they try to make sure that anything that might go wrong on the giving day, they are getting to that support ticket first and foremost above anyone else in line. So you want to make sure that that's in your support ticket, along with a description of the problem, your profile page URL, your account number, and your organization name. Let me show you what it looks like to go to complete a support ticket. So here I am on the Click and Pledge homepage. And I go to support. And then let me see here. Scroll down, there'll be create a support ticket. And this is where you're going to enter information: your name, organization name, your Click and Pledge account number. And when I was logged in earlier onto my Connect platform, my account number was at the top of the page. Your website, in this case, it would be your GiveBigNRV profile page. So you'll see, I'm just going to give you an example, that every organization has its own unique URL. This is the website that you want to be able to give them. Let me go back to the support ticket. Your phone number, email address, and then in that subject line, again, put CFNRV, Give Big, and then whatever else you want to put in terms of the subject. That again is going to just tell Click and Pledge on the giving day they need to prioritize your ticket. And then you can put in a message. So tell them as much as possible about what's going on. Is your donor getting a certain code or reference within the error message that they're receiving? Or what are they telling you? What time are they making the contribution? What kind of credit card did they use? As much information as possible will help the support staff at Click and Pledge to address that issue as quickly as possible. They will send you an email with information, and that can either start a conversation with them about how to address it, or they could have gone in and fixed the problem for you. They do as much as they can to get through all of these as quickly as possible. But if you have an issue, make sure you're completing a support ticket. Again, the foundation staff can troubleshoot a couple things, but overall, we're not going to be able to get you answers that are as helpful or as quickly as Click and Pledge can on the giving day. So complete this information and then hit submit your request. Okay, so that is a quick overview of GiveBigNRV. A couple things to keep in mind. On April the 5th, we have a profile page training session. Take a look at the Community Foundation's website, cfnrv.org. You can take a look at that to be able to sign up for that training. Or contact Kim in our office. We're going to be walking through essentially what I did with you here today, but if you bring your computer, we can help troubleshoot any problems you have. Just make sure that you have the email address with which you created the profile when you register to be a part of Give Big, so that we can help you log in accordingly. And then, of course, the giving day is coming up on the 18th, so make sure that you're updating your profile now. Try a transaction through the donation page, give $5, $10, whatever, to just give it a go so that you know the system is working and you've had a chance to troubleshoot before the giving day. And if you have questions, you can contact the Foundation's office at 381-8999, and we'll try to help you as much as we can, or send you over to Click and Pledge for some help as well. We're looking forward to a great giving day. Thanks, everybody.